It rained at the start, it rained at the end. At the start, there were runs, at the end, there was water. Welcome to the weekly review of the Women's Big Bash League on Mutual Fund Sahi Hai presents The Outside View, powered by Fantasy Akada.
मेरे रिटायरमेंट की बहुत फिक्र है तुम लोगों को।
हर किसी को अपने रिटायरमेंट की फिक्र होती है, मुझे शायद नहीं होगी।
मैंने फिक्र नहीं, तैयारी की है म्यूचुअल फंड्स के साथ।
म्यूचुअल फंड्स?
मैंने अपने पैसे बरसों से म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट किए, इसलिए कह रहा हूँ रिटायरमेंट प्लानिंग के लिए म्यूचुअल फंड सही है।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
So let's dive right into it with the best match of the week. There were plenty of exciting games through the course of the week, courtesy of the high-scoring Karen Rolton Oval. That appears to be a bowler's graveyard. I mean, why would you want to be a fast bowler or any type of bowler there? There were many contenders for the best match of the week, but I've kind of narrowed it down to two potential candidates, I guess. One involved a Perth Scorchers implosion, and the other was Talia McGrath's birthday bash. So let's begin with the nightmare that the Scorchers started with. It was their last game at Perth. It was a game that Marizan Kaap said they should have won 10 times out of 10. But of course, they imploded and went down against the Hurricanes by 2 runs. So having chosen to bat at the Waka, the Hurricanes rode on a courageous half-century from their skipper, Rachel Priest. She braved a broken finger and scored a 54. She got them to 137 for 8. And in reply, the Scorchers lost both their big openers, Sophie Devine and Beth Mooney, pretty cheaply. But through contributions from Jamari Atapattu, Chloe Piparo, and Heather Graham, they looked like they were home and dry. In the last 5 overs, they needed 32 runs off 30 balls. But somehow, they made a hash of it. Courtesy Nicola Carey, Molly Strano, and Ruth Johnston, Hobart Hurricanes snuck home with 2 runs to spare. So the other game that involved the Adelaide Strikers, Talia McGrath's birthday bash, it was the last completed match of this week. It ended the week, although it was supposed to end on Thursday. It kind of ended, well, the last result came on Wednesday, November 10th. So that game was between the Adelaide Strikers and the Sydney Sixers. The match saw India superstar Shefali Verma strike form again. She scored an unbeaten half-century, coming in at number 5. Sydney Sixers have persisted with her there. She came good for them, and the Sixers rode on her stand with Nicole Bolton. They got to 140. And they started off well with the ball. Maitland Brown produced a wonderful in-swinger to remove Dane van Niekerk. But Katie Mack kind of paced the chase beautifully. She ended with an unbeaten 67, and McGrath came out on her birthday and smashed a quick-fire 40, celebrated very well, and she's kept her team in the hunt with that victory. So moving on now to the Fantasy Akada Player of the Week, and I feel like a bit of a broken record when I talk about this player. I mean, you think of Beth Mooney, and it's incredible how consistent she has been. Every time she walks out there, you think of how she's almost like a machine. I mean, incredibly consistent in a format that is supposed to be very fickle, but it feels like you can bank on Beth Mooney in any format. So, she followed up an unbeaten 101 that she scored in the previous week. She followed that up with 2 unbeaten half-centuries, 57 and 83 not out. And she's made sure that they're kind of pushing Renegades at the top of the order. They're now currently, 6th on the table. So Beth Mooney, hands down player of the week. And keep picking her in your Fantasy Akada team. She's a safe bet, is Beth Mooney. So let's look at the points table now. Melbourne Renegades continue to hold their spot at the top, and it looks like they're moving closer to securing a place in that final, potentially hosting that final as well. But as I said earlier, Perth Scorchers have closed the gap on them. They're currently on 14 points, just 2 points away from the Renegades, and they'll probably feel hard done by. They looked set to secure 2 points against the Sydney Thunder in their last game of the week, but unfortunately, of course, rain intervened. Thunder, of course, continue to languish at the bottom, and Hobart Hurricanes are continuing to keep them company. But for Adelaide Strikers and Sydney Sixers, the equation is simple. They have to continue to win to find a place in that top 4. And at this point, it looks like the final will either be hosted by Melbourne, Perth, or Brisbane. But, maybe the Sixers could go vertical. Let's move on now to the disappointments of the week. last week I mentioned Meg Lanning's form, and she came back and struck an unbeaten 80. So, which player do you think we should take a chance on this time? I'm not quite sure, but look, the defending champions Sydney Thunder have been quite a disappointment this year. I know they came into this summer hoping that they'd have Rachel Haynes. Her loss has been a big one for them, but they continue to kind of put up, I suppose, under par performances. They have a good international roster. I think Deepti Sharma started this season quite well with the ball. Smriti Mandana has blown hot and cold for them. So, I think both of them will have to up their game if Thunder are going to move up that table. It looks unlikely now, with the kind of performances they have put in. And of course, both those Indians are, they've been in Australia for forever, it seems. But at the fag end of the tour, you'd hope they'd find some form. So last time I kind of reverse jinxed Meg Lanning. Maybe I can reverse jinx Mandana and Sharma. So that's it from me on this episode of Mutual Fund Sahi Hai presents The Outside View, powered by Fantasy Akhada. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. But don't forget, in between these reviews, there is some exciting action in the Indian domestic circuit. So keep an eye out for that.
डायरेक्ट प्लान म्यूचुअल फंड में खुद से इन्वेस्ट करने का ये एक ऑप्शन है, इससे कमीशन बच जाता है।
अरे यार जस्सी, मुझे बताना।
डायरेक्ट प्लान में सोच समझ कर इन्वेस्ट कर तो ही फायदा है।
सही है। तेरी इतना भारी
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।